Hello and welcome here to Talk FCB and welcome back to the channel, guys, for another video today. And unfortunately it is going to be another kind of downbeat videos because we are going to be discussing the injury, of course, to Samuel Umtiti. And what has it been like this season with so many injuries? Because usually in a season, especially with your key players, you hardly pick up any injuries at all. And if you do, they're kind of not serious ones. You know, you'll get throughout the season a few niggly injuries, a few strains, a few pulls, and you know, the players will be out and it'll be 1 or 2 weeks and then they'll be welcome back. But every single injury this season, you think about Dembele, even people like Roberto, Andre Gomez, when they get injured, it's just small things. They pull up, they go down, they get taken off the pitch, and you're thinking it's going to be a few weeks, and it's going to be months. That's what it's been for us, months, every single injury. Dembele out for 3 months, Roberto was out for a month, Andre Gomez, and now, unfortunately, one of our most influential players this season, Samuel Umtiti, will miss 2 months of action with a hamstring injury. So disappointed yesterday. He pulled up. It was again one of those Celta Vigo counter-attacks. It went to the second goal. Umtiti pulled up in the process, went off, and after the game, Barcelona officially announced he will miss 8 weeks of action, and that for us is absolutely crushing. And unfortunately, it was that kind of game, wasn't it? Celta Vigo had so many of those counter-attacks. They were absolutely lightning quick on that break, and Umtiti was breaking his neck to get back. You know, he was really running full pelt with Iago Aspas down the right-hand side, and like I say, it was in the lead up to that second goal, but he just pulled up. It was one of those things, his hamstring went, it was a torn muscle injury that he's going to be out with, and like I say, looking at the games that he could miss 12 to 14 games with this particular injury, and that is massive. You look at some of these games that he's going to miss, and it is a very big blow to our team. And when you look at the games that he's going to be missing with that injury, we start with this week, Sporting Lisbon at home in the Champions League. That's our final group stage match of the campaign, and that's not too bad. You know, we were going to rest some players anyway, that's not the end of the world, but following that game next weekend, Villarreal away from home. That could be a very tricky game. We would have liked to have had Umtiti available for that. Then Deportivo at home. That's not the end of the world. That shouldn't be too much of a difficult task. But then the big one, the one that we were all looking at as soon as that injury was confirmed, we were thinking, oh dear. El Clasico, we go to the Bernabeu, 23rd of December. Samuel Umtiti will be nowhere near that game, so he is going to be definitely out for that Real Madrid game, and that gives us a massive dilemma, and that's why in this video we are going to be looking at people who can replace Umtiti, who can come into the team, what options have we got, and who is going to take his place and try to give us that defensive solidity. Then you look into the, 2018, you've got Copa del Rey games that Umtiti could miss, the round of 16 games, you've got Levante at home, that shouldn't be again the end of the world, but again another difficult away game, Real Sociedad, the curse of the Anoeta, of course. That's on the 14th of January. He is going to miss that game, potentially then he'll miss the quarterfinal of the Copa del Rey, and then Real Betis away from home. Really difficult away games. You look at Villarreal, Real Madrid, Real Sociedad, Real Betis, really difficult away games where you want a strong defence. Umtiti will be sorely missed with those games. And finally Alaves at home. He should be back for the game away at Espanyol, which is at the start of February. We hope that he's back for that game. Hopefully he can be fit by then, and maybe even there's some miracle he can come back early. We're going to have to wait and see. But like I say, those games, missing Umtiti, as influential as he has been this season, that's a very big blow. But now let's get on to who can possibly replace Samuel Umtiti in the lineup. And of course I'm going to start with Thomas Vermaelen, who along with Gerard Piqué right now is our only fit centre-back in the first team. And that is very worrying. You know, given Vermaelen's record, he's not somebody who you can rely on. He's not somebody that usually stays away from injuries for very long. He is our only fit centre-back alongside Gerard Piqué, and he will come in for that game, I expect, against Sporting Lisbon, and certainly for that game next weekend against Villarreal, providing, of course, that he does stay fit. He played against Valencia. He came in on that day. Gerard Piqué was suspended. He came in, he did okay. He then played again in midweek against Real Murcia, so that was 2 games in the space of a few days. And obviously when Umtiti got injured yesterday, Vermaelen came on once again, so he'd actually played 3 games in about a week, which is massive for Vermaelen. He's stayed fit right now as we speak, and I do quote, he is fit right now. Hopefully it stays that way, because if he doesn't, we have an absolutely terrible scenario on our hands. Right now we need him to stay fit. He is fit, and he is going to be our centre-back alongside Gerard Piqué, potentially for El Clasico on the 23rd of December. However, if Javier Mascherano has his way, he believes that he will be fit for the Clásico on the 23rd. Mascherano, ever since he picked up that injury on international duty, it was a meaningless friendly with Argentina. He got injured, another hamstring type injury, but he is aiming to be back, and ever since he got that, he has been aiming for El Clásico. That's when he wants to return. He wants to make sure he's fit, match sharp, and ready to go into that game, and he is still going towards that deadline. Hopefully things go well. Hopefully his recovery goes exactly as planned. And if it does, we should have Piqué, Vermaelen and Mascherano all available going into El Clásico. I think if Mascherano was fully fit, I would certainly put him in the lineup every single time that he has played this season. He's been very dependable, very, very trustworthy. You know what you're going to get with Mascherano. You can rely on him. If he's fit, I would certainly put him in the team, and I really, really do hope that he can be ready for that game. One thing that I will say though about Mascherano, it has been in the rumour mill for quite a while now. The last few months it has been sort of on the horizon. It does look as though he will be leaving the club at the end of the season. Reportedly, after yesterday's game, he told all of the players in the dressing room that he would be leaving Barcelona at the end of the season. He's been an incredible servant to this club over the time that he's been here. He arrived as a holding midfielder. He turned into a centre-back under Pep Guardiola. He's played in Champions League finals. He's played many, many games for the club. A fantastic servant, and I wish him all the very best. But right now, we need him to get back from that injury. We've missed him a lot since he's been out. Hopefully he can get back for that Clásico, because boy do we need him. And then, of course, if things start to get really, really tight, I think Valverde naturally will be looking towards Barcelona B. Somebody like David Costas, 22-year-old. He's actually currently on loan from Celta Vigo, coincidentally enough, but he made his Barcelona debut against Murcia in the week, a centre-back that was also included in the squad against Valencia, but he didn't play any part in that game. But certainly, if Vermaelen could pick up an injury, and even though we're going to need somebody on the bench, so I think certainly David Costas will be involved. Valverde certainly looks like he's open to using him in the team, and we're going to need all the help we can get. We are severely short on centre-backs right now, and we're going to need it. Other players, of course, could be considered for the centre-back roles. Somebody like Sergio Busquets has been used in that role in the past, especially in Champions League games. We really had a lot of injuries, suspensions. We have been putting Sergio Busquets at centre-back when we've really been desperate for it. I wouldn't necessarily advise doing that, but if it really comes down to it, we might not have any other option. Of course, the problem you have is when you use Sergio Busquets as centre-back, you've got nobody in defensive midfield. We don't really have a natural successor to Busquets in that position. Samper was loaned out, of course. You could put Andre Gomez there, players like that, but that's not actually his position. We need somebody who's going to replace Busquets and give us what he can give us, and there's nobody really in the team that can do that. So Busquets at centre-back doesn't really look like an option. Somebody like Lucas Digne, could he be put there? You've seen it in the past with players like Adriano, who is a left-back being played at centre-back in Clásicos. We could well be seeing something absolutely crazy happen if we get wrong injuries at the wrong times. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. Hopefully Vermaelen can stay fit. Hopefully Mascherano can come back very soon. And if we do need it, we've got David Costas as well. But if things get bad, don't be surprised to see Busquets there, and even somebody like Lucas Digne. And one player that I would just like to focus on for a minute is Marlon. In the summer, of course, he was loaned out to Nice on a 2-year loan, and everybody at the time was sort of saying, he wouldn't get any games, he would never play, there's no point in keeping him, he's better to go out on loan and continue his development. And of course, we kept Thomas Vermaelen in his place. But I look at it now, we should have kept him. We should have kept him, because it's all right saying, he won't play, he won't get any games. You look at the situation that we're in now. In football, you never know what's going to happen. Marlon right now could have been first choice defender. He could have been first choice in that lineup and with a good chance of playing in a Clásico match. And it's incredible, he really could have been in contention if he'd have stayed at the club and if he'd been given the chance, because in football, sometimes you need these kind of breaks. This could have been the making of Marlon in the team, getting games. You look at it right now, Umtiti's injured, Piqué was suspended last week, Vermaelen's been injured this season, Mascherano are injured. There's a lot of times where he could have got some games, and it just goes to show it's not always the way that things seem. You've got to take risks sometimes, you've got to put the younger players in there, but unfortunately for Marlon, he was robbed of that chance in the summer when he was loaned out for 2 years. And obviously as well, along with the players that we already have, this could then prompt the board to spend some money in January in looking to bring in a centre-back. Obviously in the summer we were linked with players like Inigo Martinez. Looking at that deal now, it would have been a good player to bring in, somebody dependable, somebody with La Liga experience, somebody who could have easily plugged the gap with some of these injuries. But obviously in January, Yerry Mina has been linked, a player coming in from abroad. That's been a sort of stop-start transfer for a few months now. Barcelona really aren't sure whether to go with it, but with these injuries now, they might be forced to go ahead with it. Somebody like De Ligt has been linked to the club as well. Possibly he could be brought in from Ajax, but that would cost a lot of money. It's going to be really interesting in January to see if the club act. Will they bring somebody in, or will they simply wait for these players to come back? I think it really relies on Vermaelen. If he can stay fit, if he can be dependable in the team, if Mascherano can get back as quickly as possible. And it's about Piqué as well. He's racking up some cards. He's not been as good as he is usually this season. His confidence is a bit low. He's got to be on his game now. We really do need him to step up and be the leader, because we're severely lacking in central defenders. We need all the help we can get. We've got some very difficult games coming up. This Umtiti injury has left us massively in the lurch, and we have to respond, and we have to respond quickly to the draws that we've suffered in recent weeks. Leave your thoughts down below, guys. Who do you think should come in as centre-back? What pairing would you like to see in the Clásico, providing everything goes well? Let me know your thoughts, as always, down in the comments below, guys. Hopefully, in the weeks to come, these injuries ease off. We really could do without more injuries to this squad. It's getting thin enough as it is. Every injury is a serious one. Hopefully, this is the last one for a while. But judging on this season, who on earth knows? Let me know your thoughts. I will see you soon. But until then, as always, Visca el Barça! 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 Barça!